minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
And we are in flight. Welcome aboard, everybody. Choo-choo. It's the RP Show here on the Game Plus Television Network and various other platforms. It's your boy RP here. Mitchell Scruffy Blair's riding shotgun with me, and in a second you're going to see the Hall of Fame broadcaster. In hour two, Mike Davis is going to join us, my good longtime friend, the head coach and general manager of the Indoor Football League champion Vegas Knighthawks. Mike Davis will be joining us from Sin City in hour two. He can talk CFL, NFL as well. He's a Chris Jones guy. That's where we got to be buds. But that's in hour two. In hour one, we've got Scruffy here. He has no idea what we're going to talk about for the next 40 minutes. But, Mitch, I feel like you're up to it. How are you?
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Okay, he's ready to go. I'm ready to go. We're all ready to go. The quick six show topics. The big story, Mitch, we're starting with baseball. I'm sure you're okay with that. Addison Barger hit a 2-run double in Toronto's 3-run eighth as the American League leading Blue Jays came back for a dramatic 9-8 win over the Minnesota Twins last night. It was wild. Barger drove a ball into the right center field gap to score Alejandro Kirk with the tying run, and then George Springer with the go-ahead run. Toronto trailed 8-6 before Ty France hit a pinch hit homer to start the rally in the eighth. I get a kick out of this, Mitch, because you're a Cubs fan living in Canada. It's not easy, I'm sure, with this Blue Jays mania. What are your thoughts on it? It's fun. Are you getting any fun out of this?
No, because I'm not watching. I'm watching the Cubs on. I've got MLB TV, so I've got the Marquee Sports Network. So you Canadians, you Blue Jay fans, you can watch Dan Shulman and Joe Siddle I will watch Boog Shambi, Jim Deshaies, and Taylor McGregor do the game, and we'll go from there.
It would take a hell of a lot for the Blue Jays to meet the Cubs in the World Series, would it not? I feel like it would take a lot more on the Cubs side than the Blue Jays side, but could you imagine?
It would be fun. I don't see it happening, but it would be fun. I don't see either team getting there, but it would be fun. The thing I asked about the Blue Jays game last night, did Jeff Hoffman get traded to the Twins? Because
why? Because he blew it? Because they blew it?
Garbage.
Yes.
He's been hot garbage, and Jeff Hoffman will cost the Toronto Blue Jays a playoff game.
But he did get the win last night. He was on the mound in a relief role last night. So,
which is probably what they needed to have, because if they'd have gassed that in the ninth after taking the lead in the eighth, there would have been some awfully grumpy people leaving Rogers Center.
Oh, for sure. And as it is, they left deliriously happy, and it all turned out nice again, as Cactus Jack Wells says. But you know what? One team that nobody's talking about, making his 11th start as he returns from elbow surgery 2 years ago, Shohei Ohtani struck out a season-high 9 over 5 innings in a 5-1 victory against the Reds last night. They are the defending World Series champions, the LA Dodgers, but nobody's talking about them to be there in the end, Mitch. Why do you think that is?
They're in a battle with the San Diego Padres to win that division.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers, to me, are still the best team in baseball. And they know they're going to the playoffs, much like the Cubs do. They know that they're going to be, at worst, a wild card team. And they also know that once the playoffs start, everybody goes back to zero. And when you take a look at the rosters of the various National League teams, the LA Dodgers still have the best one of the bunch. With all apologies to Phillies fans, Brewers fans, Cubs fans, I think it's just a matter now as to where these teams are going to be seated. The Dodgers have basically, I think, ended Cincinnati's chances of being a wild card team. You take a look, you're probably going to have the Mets and San Diego as the wild card teams. Milwaukee and Philadelphia will be your top 2 seeds. Maybe the Dodgers will get in there. But at the end of the day, I still see the Dodgers being the National League rep because they're just too good. And they've got a great mixture of their stars, Betts, Freeman, their pitching staff, and now they've got a lot of young guys coming through.
Right. So listen, it's Rod and Scruffy, so we're going to get to a lot of football people, obviously. But the big story right now in Canada is the Blue Jays. I'm moving on to number 2. Thanks to SportsCenter, I realized that Team Canada's Olympic orientation camps going on in Calgary. And, of course, I'm sure you saw the comments from Connor McDavid. It's our second point here. Connor McDavid says he wants to win as an Edmonton Oiler, but he's taking his time before signing an extension. The Oilers captain and NHL superstar reiterated his commitment to the club in Calgary yesterday while attending a Hockey Canada Olympic and Paralympic orientation camp. Now, I'm not going to get into all the quotes and stuff here. He said he doesn't have a preference either way, whether it's signing an extension during the season, going to free agency. That's my take when he says he doesn't have a preference. Leaving Edmonton, staying in Edmonton, signing a short deal, a long deal. The poll question today is Connor McDavid going to be an Oiler past this season? So that's where I will leave it with you, Mitch, before we take a break here shortly. But is he going to be an Oiler past this year, Connor McDavid?
Absolutely he is, and he's going to be an Edmonton Oiler for several years. Leon Draisaitl did not sign his contract until September 2nd. When this is over, Connor McDavid can head up Highway 2 to Edmonton, and they'll get this done. Connor McDavid does not want this to be a distraction as training camp gets underway. And a lot of people think he's going to sign a short deal. I think he's going to sign a deal so that him and Leon Draisaitl can either stay with Edmonton when their deals are up together or continue on. And I don't see him leaving at any time. I see this being done by this time next week. By next Friday, sorry.
Really?
I think this will be done before training camp starts. As I said, Draisaitl signed on September 2nd last year, just before the training camp started. I think it'll be the same thing this time around.
Okay, well, look, so we're just scratching the surface on that. I voted yes that he will be an Oiler past next season. I'm not sure that I would go so far as to say for several years, but we're just scratching the surface on that question. What? Quick.
The one question I do have is the term. Will Connor McDavid, will he basically leave some money on the table so that this team has the ability to sign guys when they need them to and not be so crunched under the salary cap?
Well, of course, that's what we all want to know. We'll talk about that more when we come back. NFL, CFL, college football. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, a variety of other platforms, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Welcome back to the RP Show, everybody. Be sure to join us at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina 1 week from tonight for our NFL kickoff party. Thursday, September 4th, Cowboys at Eagles. Be watching for details on how you can be a part of it. Scruffy has his own invitation. You don't need to get an invite or win a contest, Mitch. Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. I apologize to the viewers. We're going to be jumping all over the place here at all levels of football in the next segment or two, Mitch. But we've got a guy in Swift Current, Laverne. He's been keeping track of our NFL pundits and their picks for the surprise team in the NFL. Well, I list off their names real quickly in your mind. Think of who will be the surprise team. We got our Rashes, Kenny Naguns from 806 Texas, Coach Jim Barker, Jersey Jim, Moose, Tori Gurley, Mo Egger, myself, John Ryan, Joe Gunnis, Zig Fracassi, Dave Patrician have all given their surprise teams, and it's almost different for everybody. And I don't even know specifically what the definition of a surprise team is. I assume somebody that makes a major jump that you didn't expect. Who would that be for you in the NFL this year?
Well, a team that I think will take a next step up will be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
I just don't – their defense has to be better. And if they get in the playoffs, they're a scary group. I think a lot of people are not paying enough respect to my NFL team, the Seattle Seahawks. New quarterback, but this was a team that won 10 games last year, did not make the playoffs. I think if Matthew Stafford's health is not great, I think the Seahawks can win that division. So
wow,
it's a biased statement, obviously, because that's the team I root for. But I would say if I had three teams, Cincinnati, Seattle, and the LA Chargers.
Okay,
and the LA
a few of those guys
Chargers
have said.
Could,
yeah.
And the LA
a few of those guys
could win that division ahead of Kansas City.
Well, you're reading my diary. I got something coming up on the AFC West, but just hang on. So the third point is the NFL. The fourth point today, I got to make the CFL fans wait a little minute. I apologize, but you got to wait. Point 4 is college football. There are 16 college football games today. And, Mitch, I got to ask you this. Leave it to Deion Sanders to come up with an idea for the college football playoff that nobody's really mentioned yet. Pay the players for making the tournament and then pay them more when their teams win. If they do that, Prime says, then every player on a successful team would be making the same amount of money for the wins. Sanders and former Alabama coach Nick Saban talked to the Associated Press as part of their unveiling of a new Affleck commercial that rolls out this week. How do you feel about that, paying the players that are in the playoffs, pro style?
Aren't we already doing that?
Paying them more. Paying them more.
So playoff bonuses is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. That's what Prime's saying.
Yeah, why not? I would maybe take that a step farther. If your team makes a certain bowl, and I think they'd have to tier the bowls. Like, obviously, you've got your playoff games, but then you've got your games that aren't tier 1 bowls, and you see a lot of players that are going to go to the NFL that say, that's it, I'm out. I don't want to play anymore after getting my team there. That might be a way to keep them in the program for one more week. So I would go for that for games like the Liberty Bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Gator Bowl, the non-playoff bowl games. But some of them that, the Snoop Dogg Bowl, well, maybe not.
It's funny you say that because Prime's Colorado Buffaloes were in the Alamo Bowl last year in San Antonio and lost. They got motorboated. But, yeah, I like your idea, Mitch, because so many players are bailing before the bowl games. It's that would be a reason for them not to. So that's something that's come out of college football today. We'll come back around on the bigger games later on. But we spent a lot of time on the CFL yesterday and the Labor Day games. I want to read some comments from the audience here. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, Seahawks winning the NFC West. How about that? Monty in Saskatoon says, how about the Cowboys in the East? How about them? And that's my team. Carlos in Indianapolis, and we missed you yesterday, Carlos. He says the NIL deals could offer those incentives. Well, what Mitch is saying, NIL plus playoff bonuses. He's just trying to get the best players more money. He's coming at it from the players' side, which I certainly have absolutely no problems with that. So what I tell you, we're going to skip all around in the football various levels here today with Mitch, and the nice thing is that we're able to do that. Mitch is a 5-tool player, as they say. He can talk about it all and talk about it all well. But as far as CFL Labor Day weekend goes, I was on Global Winnipeg today, Mitch, and I'll ask you what the host Clay Young asked me. He goes, when you think of Winnipeg-Saskatchewan's rivalry, what do you think of? And I said, well, not just Labor Day. I think of Banjo Bowls. I think of a Grey Cup meeting. I think of playoff meetings. The 2003 West semifinal comes to mind. I think of big games, and it's a lot of them between Sask and Winnipeg. What do you think when you think of the rivalry?
Well, obviously this weekend and next weekend is the big thing you think of, and the fact that, the Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowls are two of the most forward look games in the CFL. We know what it's like here. You know what it's like in Winnipeg, having been to several Banjo Bowls. It's a nut house, much like it is at Mosaic Stadium or Taylor Field. But you're right. There have been so many great games between these two teams in the playoffs. You take a look at the one that you just mentioned, Kenton Keith with the big run, Scott Schultz doing the dog pee on the quarterback, Cody Fajardo hitting the crossbar. There's been a lot of big moments in playoff games, and right now, we might have another one. It's hard to say right now, and there's obviously the BC Lions and Calgary Stampeders are going to have a lot to say about it, but wouldn't it be something if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were coming to Saskatchewan for the Western Final, knowing that A, if they lose, the Riders have a chance to win the Grey Cup in their stadium, and B, not being the host team, which is something the Riders had to go through in 2013.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. By the way, on the bowl game discussion, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, what flavor of Pop-Tart will get toasted this year in the Pop-Tarts Bowl? Ryan from upstate New York says the Saskatoon Berry Pop-Tarts. Could you imagine Saskatoon Berry Pop-Tarts? Now, I bought some Saskatoon Berry jam here last week from Fine Foods. There's too much sugar in it. It could barely taste the Saskatoon. It was too much sugar, too much jam, not enough Saskatoon. I'm just saying. I think it would be next to God if they had Saskatoon Berry Pop-Tarts. But do it right. Anyways, back to this. Was there not a guy in a football game, Mitch, recently that got fined for lifting his leg and mock peeing on the quarterback, which is what Nate Davis did, you're right, on Kahari Jones in the 2003
Nate Davis,
Western
I said Scott Schultz, my bad.
No, it was Nate Davis. I feel like somebody just did that and got fined or suspended for it. You don't recall hearing that?
Well, let's just remember that the college football just started last week, and we haven't seen anything in the NFL. And I don't remember a CFL guy doing it, so it might have been last year, but I don't remember it being done.
Yeah. Well, and here's one. I mean, you weren't on the program with us yesterday. Joe Gunnis did a great job previewing the games this weekend. I think we would all vote our top two regions for viewership are Saskatchewan and Winnipeg, but we've got huge numbers in Alberta. What is going to be the best game this weekend? We can all say what's Canada's game of the week. Everybody has their own opinion. Probably split three ways of the three games. But what will be the best game? Winnipeg at Sask, Toronto at Hamilton, Edmonton and Calgary.
This might not be popular in Western Canada, but I think Toronto and Hamilton have the capabilities to just go up and down the field on one another, and we could see like a 45-45 game. Now, having said that, it'll probably end up 22-19, but Nick Arbuckle last week against BC was phenomenal. And we know what Bo Levi Mitchell can do. I could see those two teams just going up and down the field in a track meet, and that's what CFL fans want. I think the two games in Western Canada, I think that if I don't know what the line is on them because I haven't looked this morning, but I would take under if it's 50, 52.5 on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Calgary's defense is so good, and then the Ryder defense and Winnipeg's defense is so good. So I think that Toronto-Hamilton game has the potential to be a great one.
I think they're all going to be fantastic. That's why I bring it up to you, and I just stuck my toe in the game notes and some of the stats leading into Labor Day Classic weekend. It is the greatest weekend of the year in Canadian football, there's no doubt. They say, and I think you would agree, next weekend is the best. NFL Week 1, CFL Labor Day rematches, and then Week 2 of the college football season. But Bo Levi Mitchell's never.
Question?
Hang on. Bo Levi Mitchell has never lost a Labor Day game. Think about that for a second. That I would think would affect. Yeah, well, nor did I. He's 7-0. I would think that would affect some bettors if they were to bet on CFL. Like, who would you pick to win that game?
Oh, I would take Hamilton in a heartbeat to win that game.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. I haven't read the game notes. They're sitting on my laptop. I just haven't looked at them yet. Can I just ask this? Why are we playing 3 games on Labor Day on this weekend, which is such a huge weekend for the CFL? Like, why wouldn't you have, and I understand that, like, BC, they don't really have a rival, but Ottawa and Montreal, wouldn't that be a great game in Ottawa? It's not like the Alouettes are that far away. Why wouldn't we have 4 games?
Well, everybody's asking that question. I think you know where I am on the CFL decision makers, and I think you know where they are on me. We're just agree to disagree. I mean, for years, by the way, I remember sitting in my hotel room on the Sunday morning of Week 1 of the NFL, getting ready for the Banjo Bowl, going, why didn't we play this yesterday on the Saturday? There's nothing else going on. Oh, well, not in Canada. The college football was huge. And eventually they did move the Banjo Bowl from the Sunday to the Saturday. And then now this. Like, it's just, it makes, maybe there's a reason, Mitch, but I have not heard a reason why Ottawa and Montreal would not be playing. I mean, I get they must, it has to do with the buys. I don't know. But it's rivalry weekend. You want to build a natural rivalry, maybe have rival cities play against each other. It's unfortunate, but do you think, and we're going to break here in a minute and a half, we'll come back and continue this, but Luke Wilson had his soft suspension for a week criticizing the CFL, but he's back now, criticizing the Argos and their attendance and how they're dealing with things. How do you think that's going to end?
It's Toronto, Rod. They don't care.
Good point.
It's Toronto. And with the Blue Jays playing the way they are, they don't care.
I'm just saying anybody who's criticized the CFL to the degree that Luke Wilson has been professionally decapitated, and he doesn't seem to care. And actually somebody said that to me the other day. He doesn't care. I'm like, well, he's going to care if he's removed from the CFL on TSN broadcast, but so far that hasn't happened. Daryl in Calgary writes in, Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, I'm glad you are enjoying my book, 1948 Grey Cup, the Stampeders Special. Anybody interested can get a copy at the Stamp store at McMahon Stadium. They only have a few copies left. That's from Daryl Slade, Stampeders historian. Folks, I'm loving it. It's not only how the Stampeders had the only undefeated season in CFL history, but how Stampeders fans changed the Grey Cup forever. You can get it in the Stampeders store, Daryl Slade's book, The Stampeders Special. Back with more with Scruffy in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. Get your comments in. We'll get to them when we come back.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. Yeah, let's keep it November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, for legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites, it's the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in. Check out their website at themadgreekeatery.com. It's pretty much everybody's favorite restaurant in Moose Jaw. That's just the way it is. Mitchell Scruffy Blair is with us, my good and longtime friend. Thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate it, and you do such a great job with me on here. So I'm not done on the McDavid thing. So we scratched the surface on this. The orientation camp is on for Team Canada in Calgary for the Olympic team. And the very first question, I don't know if you saw the news conference yesterday or the clip, was about his contract status with the Oilers. He's like, oh, we're going right there, huh? You don't even want to talk about the Olympics? Mitch, as an Oiler fan, are you offended at all that he says he doesn't have a preference? Sign long-term, right away, wait, not sign, just doesn't have a preference. He's clearly playing it cool. But are you offended by that in a way? And he's not saying, I want to be an Oiler forever.
No, I'm not. And I think he will be an Oiler forever. Or at least he will be, for the next decade. I really this is the Toronto media, again, just dying to have this guy wear blue and white. It never, ever stops. And even some of the guys that are have Western Canadian roots, like Drager and those guys, just stop. He is not leaving Edmonton unless the sky falls. And I don't see that happening. Are they going to get to the Stanley Cup for a third straight year? I don't know. I didn't think they would get back to the Stanley Cup this past year.
Yeah.
But they found a way. Leon Draisaitl signed. The day Leon Draisaitl signed a long-term contract, you knew that Connor McDavid would sign a long-term contract. The question I have, like I said a few minutes ago, what will the term be? There are some suggesting that he will sign the same deal as Leon did. I'm not buying that. I think it'll be a little bit higher, but I also think Connor McDavid is smart enough to leave some money on the table so that this team can go out and find some guys, guys that fit the bill, so that they're not looking at like bargain basement players so that they make the salary cap. And trading Darnell Nurse would be a big plus too, but that's not going to happen.
Rich in Edmonton writes, then he says, Bob Stauffer, for everybody that knows, he's the Oilers color guy and host of Oilers Now Radio. Bob Stauffer said there's a 101% chance he'll extend, and he's as insider as insiders you can get, and his wife just opened a business downtown. Okay, so it doesn't sound like Oilers fans are riddled with anxiety over this, so that's a good thing. We got a million topics on the table here, and I love it. I love it that we can do this with Mitch, because not everybody that we have on in that chair can, but Mitch can. Jeremy in Winnipeg says $16 million a year for McDavid. He won't be done that already. Take a discount like Sid. He hasn't, and he won't take a discount. Okay. That same Jeremy says the NFL is back. Texas, Ohio State Saturday. The birth of Arch Manning in college has arrived. Darren in Utah says the Mannings have a charmed family. Arch Manning starting his first game at Ohio State, and the Buckeyes are starting a freshman at quarterback against him. Coincidence or some heavy mojo? So, okay, to the college game. OSU's favorite, I believe, at home. Yeah, I know they are. What do you think is going to go down in that? It's a noon Eastern kickoff, 10 a.m. out here in the West. I got it planned. My sponsor, Bob, my 12-step sponsor, Bob, is a huge Buckeyes fan. So we're going to watch the first half together and then go for lunch to watch the second half. Dude, what a banger in week one of the college football season, Texas at OSU.
It will be great tomorrow morning to turn on, or Saturday morning, to turn on the television, see College Game Day on, and then just watch college football. And Texas, Ohio State will be the marquee matchup. Ohio State, the defending national champs, they lost a lot of guys. The horseshoe, that's a tough place to play. But I believe that the Texas Longhorns, the team that I thought would win the national championship last year, and might have if Quinn Ewers doesn't get strip sacked by Jack Sawyer, I think the Texas Longhorns beat the Ohio State Buckeyes strictly for the fact that Ohio State lost a lot of players. Especially at quarterback, a true freshman in there. That's a pretty tall task going up against Texas in your first game. So I would take Texas here.
Yeah, stop the presses. We haven't even talked about the NFL yet, for the love of God. So hang on, because we don't have a lot of time left with you in this segment. NFL, here's some headlines I wrote down. Lions coach Dan Campbell says this is his best team in 5 years with the franchise, coming off early playoff exit. Steelers place rookie quarterback Will Howard on injured reserve. That's what made me think of it. OSU's quarterback last year. And bolstered Denver Broncos are confident they can take further steps after ending long playoff drought last year. That's just 3 NFL headlines of a tidal wave of headlines, Mitch. I said a Detroit-Buffalo Super Bowl. I'm not totally confident in that, but that's what I said. Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
Baltimore.
And?
Philadelphia.
Ooh.
I think Philadelphia's head and shoulders the best team in the NFC. You talk about Detroit.
Right that,
I think Detroit is ready to take a big-time fall. Without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, I don't think this team is going to be the same. And I think what the Washington Commanders did to them in the playoffs last year, you're still going to see some of the after effects of that.
I just actually said that on yesterday's show, actually, is if anybody doesn't realize the importance of coordinators, we're about to find out with the Detroit Lions. Those are two pillars of what Dan Campbell does, yanked out and gone to other teams. But as he said, this is the best team in his 5 years, but it sounds like you don't even believe him when he says that.
Well, that's coach speak, Rod.
Yeah.
We've been around coach speak for how long?
You know, it's funny. Yeah, too long. Because I don't believe anything anybody says at all anymore. Because I've seen them lying. I'll tell you a story after the break. But when Shante Peoples got arrested for weed possession, and I remember we flew home, we were on a road trip, and we standing in front of the cameras. I'm right beside Danny Barrett, and they're like, "Oh, your defensive end's been charged with marijuana possession. How do you feel about that, coach?" He goes, "Oh, it's the first I heard of it." I'm like, "No, it isn't. You were told in the Toronto airport on the connecting, on the delay, on the layover." Right? No, that was like the first time. And then it just, yeah.
And how about when media representatives for the team would come up to you or me and say, "Hey, we want to get the narrative going today, so can you ask Coach this question? Because we know that the quote that he's been waiting to say will end up being on all the sports packages and radio shows." So sort of like, yeah,
sure,
okay.
But that's not lying. That's not lying, right?
No,
the thing with Danny was outright lying, right?
Yes.
I'm like, I was standing there when you were told at Pearson that he's been charged. Oh, it's not the first I heard of it.
He's not the first one.
I know,
but the first one that'll go through that.
I feel like the statute of limitations is now up that I can start spilling my guts on a lot of these stories. But Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in and says, "Let's sleep on the Chiefs." He's a Chiefs fan. Nobody, and I mean nobody that I've seen, pick the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Well, they are now because Travis and Taylor will get married at halftime.
Oh, you're coming with the gas today, Mitch. You really are. Hey, we got less than a minute. What's your Labor Day plan?
What's my Labor Day plan?
For the Labor Day Classic.
I'm going to get myself a pizza. I will be on my couch, and I will be watching, I'm assuming, Dustin Nielsen and Glenn Suter call the game.
Well, La Police called it last year, and I know that because I was with them the night before the game. As part of our golf alum. So who knows? But, dude, enjoy it. This goes by far. You're a hot take machine. That's what our producer, Corey, says. This Scruffy guy is a hot take machine. That's why we have him on.
You can throw my whatever take on there, and I'll have some members of the Rider fan base get on my case, and, I really don't care what they think.
No, and we've both been called a lot worse. Happy Labor Day weekend, Scruffy. Be right back after this.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Broadcasting from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, the place to be for sports enthusiasts and fitness lovers alike. Visit us today at goldenticketsportscenter.com. Can you hear the, maybe it probably wouldn't be a good thing if you could hear the music, the strains of Hell's Bells raining down, the guys working out over here on the other side of the curtain. Hell's Bells. Thank you, Laura Jackson in Edmonton, for sending me this, what I, again, feel is a family heirloom bell. I'm just so touched that you would send that to me. Thank you. And I'll get to the breaking news. Well, there is some here. B-Mans writes in, and he says, just popped on, Dave Naylor is reporting a Joe is heading back from the Indianapolis Colts to the Saskatchewan Roughriders after his stint there. Sorry if it's been discussed. That one we did not discuss, but you've missed a lot today, B-Mans. Wayne in BC writes in and he says, I love me some Mitchell Scruffy Blair. Don't we all? And he seems pretty fired up about our Las Vegas news. And, yeah, so beginning September 29th, just to clarify, which not everybody's even going to hear it. It goes in one ear and out the other. But Hour 2 only will be airing daily on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, Fox 5 Las Vegas. Hour 2 only. So what do you think Moose is doing? He's scrambling to get into Hour 2 now, which is fine. Everybody wants to be on now because it's Vegas. And so, coming up in Hour 2, breaking news worthy, I'll tell you a little story about Mike Davis. We won't butter him up before he gets on here. We'll butter him up now, not when he does get on. He's the head coach and general manager of the Vegas Knighthawks Indoor Football League team. Why are we having him on? Well, a few reasons. He's a longtime friend of mine. You're going to love his story. He's from St. Louis, Missouri, played with the Virginia Tech Hokies. He's one of those guys. Was the D-line coach for the Riders, quasi-personnel guy with the Riders under Chris Jones, and that's where him and I clicked. He married a Regina gal, Renee. Then he went to the Argos, and then coming out of COVID, he got offered this opportunity with that Golden Knights organization owned by Bill Foley. And Mike didn't know Bill Foley at all, the owner of the Golden Knights. But here's the thing. They got an expansion team in the Indoor Football League, and somebody said, Bill Foley does what good owners do. He called around and said, who's the guy that I need to run this team? The name that he got back was Mike Davis. And they're just now coming off on the weekend the Indoor Football League Championship. So, and I told this the other day, when Mike got that job, it was 2021. He called me and he goes, "You're coming with me." And I said, "Oh, to do what?" And he goes, "Assistant GM and play-by-play." And I'm like, "Sounds intriguing." But I had a few things going on in my life at the time that precluded me from going to Las Vegas with Mike Davis. And it is what it is. But that's how good a friend. I'm not thinking, can I do that? Doesn't matter now, does it? So Mike will be with us. We got a lot of things to talk about, but he wants to also talk about the CFL Labor Day games. He wants to talk about the NFL season, college we can do, and obviously his championship year. And how you go about building a championship team in Las Vegas, because just so you know, it ain't easy. So these are all things we'll be talking about with Mike Davis coming up next segment. It's going to be great. And we talk regularly. He's such a good guy. Sports update for Cool Bet Canada. Week 1 of the 2025 college football season is packed with marquee matchups, quarterback debuts, and revenge games. Key games include Texas at Ohio State, LSU at Clemson, and Notre Dame at Miami. Other notable matchups feature Virginia Tech, Mike Davis's team, versus South Carolina, Syracuse versus Tennessee, and Alabama at Florida State. Here's what you need to know about each matchup and how the playoff picture could begin to take shape as early as week 1. Well, I'm not going to read it all here now. Just watch on Saturday. The one thing, okay, when Dante DeCaria was on here the other day, the voice of the Regina Pats, but a baseball guy first, he said that he changes teams. I'm like, oh, you too? People criticize me. Now, I got my staples, the Dallas Cowboys, the Blue Jays, the Regina Pats, but as far as hockey teams go, NHL teams go, I change them like my underwear. And I'm thinking of doing the same with college. Like, Alabama's always been my team for a variety of reasons. Travis Smith, well, he was a good friend of mine. We lost touch since he went to jail. But at one time, we were good friends. I don't mind saying. When I got my first satellite radio, any of you old-timers will remember this going back to 2005, I needed a U.S. address to fill in on my application for satellite radio, and Travis Smith gave me his down there in Alabama to fill in. He played for the Crimson Tide, and Chris Jones was on the whatever. I don't need to explain to you why I was a Crimson Tide fan, but it was easy because they were winning all the time. They were on television all the time. Forrest Gump went there. Bob's your uncle. But now I'm like, the bloom is off the rose with the Crimson Tide. Nick Saban's long gone. And I live just north of Miami, and I live 1.8 miles from FAU Stadium. Trust me, I know because I've run it. I won't do that again. Late at night after a game, no. And I'm not going to cheer for FAU, but Miami's 40 miles away, and I'm thinking maybe I'll be a Hurricanes fan. Getting all these emails from the Miami Hurricanes. They're in the top 10. They're sold out against Notre Dame, and they play in the same stadium as the Miami Dolphins. They're sold out. Best football team in Florida, definitely South Florida, is the Miami Hurricanes. That might be my team. I'm thinking of doing that, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Can't change on the Cowboys. I'm not going to change on the Blue Jays. College football, yeah, I probably could do that and not lose any sleep over it. Shohei Ohtani's reliance on his fastball caught up with him recently, making the Dodgers' two-way superstar intent on changing his pitch mix. He had given up a combined 9 runs and 14 hits in his previous 2 outings, a pair of Dodgers losses to the Angels and the Colorado Rockies. But making his 11th start as he returns from an elbow surgery 2 years ago, last night Ohtani struck out a season-high 9 over 5 innings in a 5-1 victory against the Cincinnati Reds for his first win on the mound with the Dodgers. His previous pitching win came on August 9th, 2023 with the Angels against San Francisco. And that's why I said with Scruffy earlier, why is nobody talking about the Dodgers for a World Series? I mean, like, nobody. They're the defending World Series champions. They've only gotten better, and now Shohei is rounding back into MVP form on the mound as he comes back from the Tommy John surgery, which, oh, my God, hang on. I mean, this reminds me of another good story, but I'll tell you that the sports headlines are for Cool Bet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Sign up at coolbet.com, deposit $10, $20, $100, all the way up to $200. Coolbet will match you with a welcome bonus. But you have to use the promo code RP200. So it's the Rod Pedersen Show. It's different than other shows, right? I'm getting my hair cut yesterday by a mom of one of the Moose Jaw Miller Express, a young pitcher. And she's telling me, I said, how's your boy's surgery coming along? Or he's going for surgery. He's rehabbing the injury, blah, blah, blah. She goes, he's getting Tommy John surgery. And I said, as she's cutting my hair, I said, did I tell you that I know Tommy John? How do you know Tommy John? And I said, well, I used to do a lot of events for the Red Sox. And Tommy John came in as a guest speaker. And the obvious question is, and for those that don't know what Tommy John surgery is, basically, if you take the tendon out of your non-throwing arm as a pitcher, they take the tendon out and switch it with a good tendon in your pitching arm. That's how it started. Tommy John was faced with that surgery 40 years ago, and they're like, did you want to try this, Tommy? And he's like, well, what's my alternative? Ending your career. He goes, let's try it. Pitched, I don't know how many more years after that. But anyways, when I was with Tommy John for like 3 days, when I don't roll my eye, it was something. He's a character. And as he will tell you, most wins by any pitcher not in the Hall of Fame, not in Cooperstown, Tommy John. But I said, how does it feel to have an arm surgery named after you, Tommy? That's pretty cool. There's not a lot of surgeries that are named after people. And he goes, well, at least it's not rectal surgery. That was a Tommy John line. And you'll like this one, producer Corey. He was staying at the Regina Inn. The name of that hotel does not exist anymore, but he was staying at the Regina Inn. So he says to the Red Sox people, if I want to go for a walk, where do I go? And they said, well, don't go. If you go straight ahead, that's where downtown is, all the shopping, the restaurants, it's all that way. Don't go this way. And he goes, why not? Well, that's the red light district, and there's some things going on there that you might not want to be part of. And he says, what if I want to be part of things like that? You can't make this stuff up. Tommy John is a real character, and I very much treasure those relationships with the Moose Jaw Millers players and their families, and it's really been a really great thing. Oh, Kirk in Toronto writes in, hey, number one, he goes, Connor McDavid will probably end up in Toronto at the end of his career because that's where stars come to die. And he says, I heard Nick Arbuckle's mother committed suicide when he was a young boy, so very tragic. Well, yeah, and you know what? I live in that world all the time as a mental health and recovery coach. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to tell other people's stories, but Nick Arbuckle's mother committed suicide when he was a young boy. There's so much of that you don't know. And I don't know how that story came out, but doesn't that tell you what a special young man he is and how he's overcome to be a pro quarterback and a CFL champion, Nick Arbuckle. And he's such a great guy. He has not let those early life tragedies define his life. Thank you, Kirk, for pointing that out. Hour 2 is coming up. Just you and me for the first segment. Then Mike Davis from the Vegas Knighthawks Indoor Football League team to talk all ball for y'all coming up after this break here on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, Hour 2. It is bell ringing worthy. Breaking news, not as much as the other day, but still a lot to talk about here on Daytime Sports. Wrapping up my time in Canada, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to miss Tim Hortons coffee. I'm going to miss it a lot. I do Tim Hortons like 6 days a week and then Starbucks one day just to spoil myself. The one day. What do you do? What's your coffee routine? Coming up in the next segment, Mike Davis will be joining us. He is today's headline guest from the Vegas Knighthawks Indoor Football League team. Just a hell of a guy. He is a jack of all trades and the recently crowned champions of the Indoor Football League, owned by the Vegas Golden Knights, is this football team, Mike Davis. And just so you all know, he was a former D-line coach with the Rough Riders and personnel guy, and that's where I got to know him, and we stayed tight. He's going to come on today to talk about winning that championship, working for Bill Foley, and look ahead to this weekend's Labor Day Classic games in the CFL, NFL season, and maybe some college, and whatever you'd like to ask a guy that runs an indoor football league team. I can't wait. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. This opening segment is going to go fast. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. One of my longest friends in this business opened the show with us an hour ago, Mitchell Scruffy Blair. I will have to tell you that I think my longest time friend is Kevin Carius of Sports 1440 Edmonton. We went to college together, and it's going back a day or two. But Mitchell's up there, and we covered these topics with Mitch on the warm-up an hour ago, the Quick Six Show topics. Number one, Addison Barger hit a 2-run double in Toronto's 3-run eighth as the American League leading Blue Jays came back for a dramatic 9-8 win over the Minnesota Twins. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the game. I went to a movie last night. Nobody 2 is the movie starring Bob Odenkirk. Sign up for my newsletter. I'll put the movie review in there. I'm a modern-day Siskel and Ebert. I'm not even gonna scoop myself with my review. Bob Odenkirk's Nobody 2. I went to it last night at Galaxy Cinema. The hot dog was about a 6.5 out of 10. I ate everything. And it wasn't until I saw the highlights of this wild ending last night for the Blue Jays, another win. And it's funny because Scruffy is a Cubs fan, and I said, how are you loving this Jays love across Canada? He's like, I'm not. I'm watching the Cubs. We all have our thing, right? But when the Blue Jays are winning, everybody's happy across Canada. That's what we have right now. I felt like a night to go to the movies, and I don't regret it. Jays off today. Point 2, it is Canada after all, and it warmed my heart that this was leading certain news updates, sports updates across the land. Point 2, Connor McDavid says he wants to win as an Edmonton Oiler, but he's taking his time before signing an extension. The Oilers captain and NHL superstar reiterated his commitment to the club Wednesday in Calgary while attending a Hockey Canada Olympic orientation camp. The 28-year-old would be eligible for unrestricted free agency next summer if he doesn't re-sign with the Oilers before then. So it's perfect. Look, you all know by now, been watching this show, 1,565 episodes. I grew up an Oiler fan until August 9th, 1988, and then I was like, nope. But that's just me. I don't cheer for the Oilers anymore. But Scruffy does and covers the Oilers, and I said, because I watched the interview with McDavid, seen the reaction from the fans, and some of his quotes are that he doesn't really have a preference either way. Spoiler alert, Mitch predicted that within a week, McDavid will sign an extension, probably a short bridge deal. That's Scruffy's prediction. But our poll question today for EMJ Marketing, and by the way, from impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. They bring you the poll question every day. Will Connor McDavid be an Oiler past this season? And it's amazing because we've put it on YouTube, the poll. I've put it on Twitter, and we've put it on Instagram. And the results are all different. If you took the average of all 3 of those platforms and took all the answers together, it comes out to around 50-50. And Mitch went off about the Leaf media driving this engine that he's going to be a Leaf. And that's not a topic, down a road I want to go down to today. But what I will tell you is I voted that, yes, he will be an Oiler past this season. Mitch voted that he would be an Oiler past this season. Shoot, he's predicting that he'll sign an extension within a week's time. But I just said to Mitch, as an Oiler fan, are you offended that Connor said he doesn't really have a preference either way? Because what he's saying is he's willing to let this all play out. I get the distinct sense that, and to be honest, from a business perspective, he would be smart to go to free agency and see what he can get out there. The Oilers, or that whole, how bad do you want me? You know, it's August the 28th. I'm not going to sit here and have that debate that we had a few weeks ago of should he take less money, a la Tom Brady, a la Sidney Crosby, seemed to work out for those guys. Or should he take the most money, a la Myles Garrett, a la Dak Prescott? How many championships have they won? Point 3 of the Quick Six show topics was CFL Week 13 with Mitch. It's a very, very special time in Canadian football. It is the second biggest week of the year in football. The biggest being next week, Labor Day Classic rematch games, Week 1 NFL, Week 2 college football. In terms of just immenseness, NFL's not playing this weekend. So this is not the biggest weekend, but it's number 2. And the games we've kicked around, just so you know, spoiler alert, we try to have somewhat themes here on a daily basis. Yesterday we did a lot of CFL talk with Joe and the sports doctor. The day before we did a lot of baseball talk with Dante DeCarry and Scott Belford. Tomorrow, for years and years and years, Mike Abu-Meshrik has come on my program on the Friday, usually in studio, but this year he can't. But he's going to come on via video. Former Blue Bomber and Rough Rider. What is he? 10-year CFLer and Grey Cup champion. Let's throw in the Ottawa Renegades as well. Abu will be with us to preview this game on Sunday and then the 2 Monday games. That'll be a big CFL day. I'm excited for the games. I asked Mitch what he's going to do, Scruffy, for the Labor Day Classic. He goes, order a pizza and sit on the couch. And this guy, B. Mans, writes in and says, that's weak, Mitch. Well, I'll be honest with you. The last Rider game I attended was Labor Day 2021. Funny how this all comes up because 2021, I told you that's when Mike Davis got the call to be the head coach and GM in Vegas, the Vegas Knighthawks, and called me to say, you're going to be my assistant GM and play-by-play guy. If you're watching, Mike, remember that? But I was at that Labor Day game to the end of the first quarter. That was 3 seasons past me being voice of the Riders. And it was a really hot day. Everybody was getting drunk, which isn't my thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is their party, not mine. I'm out. That's all. It was just too wild. And haven't been back. That's not anybody's fault. But like Mitch, I'll be watching from somewhere. I just haven't made my plans yet for that game. But he thinks the Toronto-Hamilton game will be the best game of them all. We'll kick this around a hell of a lot more tomorrow. But in the game notes, I really did enjoy reading some of the interesting factoids. Bo Levi Mitchell has never lost a Labor Day Classic game. Never lost one. 7-0. I would think that would affect the betting people. And Hamilton's favored as it is over Toronto. That Calgary-Edmonton game, dang, that's sexy. Mark Killam returning to Calgary after being unceremoniously fired by the Mighty Horsemen. The storylines are rife. Sponsor mention. Join us at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina for our NFL kickoff party 1 week from tonight. Cowboys-Eagles. I'm going to say be watching for details on how you can be a part of it. But you know what? Just show up. I was at Pump Jacks earlier this week. They're like, we ain't fancy here. They're a bunch of Weyburn guys. First come, first serve. Let's pack the place. Ultimate Fan Zone here in Moose Jaw is going to supply some prizing Cowboys and Eagles gear. Come on down and watch. It's basically a watch party. That's all that it is. And we'll have some prizes there and hang out with the RP Show staff. Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. I will get back to the NFL story in a second, but first, kick this around with Mitch. This was our 4th point of the Quick Six Show topics. Leave it to Deion Sanders to come up with an idea for the college football playoff that nobody's really mentioned yet. Pay the players for making the tournament and pay them more for the winners of the playoff games and the bowl games. The playoff bowl games. He says if they do that, then every player on a successful team would be making the same amount of money for the wins. And Nick Saban apparently agrees with him. Sorry, I dropped my Quick Six show horn. Don't know where it is. Prime is just in this to make more money for the playoffs. For the players. Don't have a problem with that. But Scruffy took it one step further. He said, why just have it for the 12-team playoff? Why not have all bowl game participants and bowl game winners get paid? That way, you don't got guys bailing on the bowl games because they've jumped in the transfer portal and they're leaving. And the same goes for coaches, too. Mitchell, Scruffy, Blair has sorted out all the problems of college football, and he did it today off the top of his head. Pay the bowl player participants. To the NFL, I mentioned 3 headlines that we just skimmed on with Mitch because we go fast here. Detroit Lions coach Dan Campbell says this is his best team in his 5 years with the club. The Pittsburgh Steelers have placed rookie quarterback Will Howard on injured reserve, straight out of OSU. And bolstered Denver Broncos are confident they can take further steps after ending long playoff drought. Is the AFC West the toughest division in football? I wanted to get to that with Mitch, and we ran out of time because, as I told you, we were going to have all these levels of football that we were going to talk about with Scruffy, and we did. NFL, CFL, college. We're going to get to indoor football next with Mike Davis coming up shortly. Oh, I said, thank you for this, guys. I said, what's your coffee routine? I said, I do 6 Tim Hortons a week, and then you'd think I would sign up for the rewards program. They literally know me when I go through the drive-thru. Sam. Oh, the Rod Pedersen Show, Sam says. I'll have to watch that one. Troy in Toronto says, I make my espresso, cappuccino, and lattes at home in the morning. If I'm working on the road, I get at least 2 large Tims, 1 milk. I love coffee way too much. Hey, there's worse things to put in your body, Troy. 1:11 Eastern for those that observe. 11:11 Mountain. Carlos in Indianapolis reminds us of that daily. Carlos, where are you on paying college players and playoff participants? I'd love to know. Ryan in upstate New York says, I've been making cold brew from a coffee company that's an affiliate sponsor of my podcast. I'll switch to hot coffee once the weather turns. What do you got? Did you just say something? Tony from Cochrane writes in and says, every game in the AFC North is a rivalry game. Paul Brown, who owned the Browns, went to Cincy and started the Bengals. Art Modell took the Browns to Baltimore, and any game against the Steelers is good. That's why, I'm not sure there's any correct answer unless you went in and tracked the wins as to what's the toughest division in the NFL. I just think getting out of the AFC West this year should be hella hard. Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. 3 of them made the playoffs last year. Not every division can say that. That's a question for Mike Davis. Ryan McCarthy writes in and says, I remember trying to convince Moose DuPont to become a Penn State fan, but he chose Michigan instead. I knew I should have sent him some gear to convince him otherwise. Don't bother. Why are we talking about this? I said I'm going to probably switch college allegiances. It runs deep. My love for the Cowboys, as difficult as that's been. Like, it's at a point now when I'm home in Florida, people ask me who I cheer for. I say the Dallas Cowboys. They break out laughing. It's not a great I'm like, who do you cheer for? And if it's not the Dolphins, because their fans don't have a lot to say, and they get it. This one guy's like, Commanders? Are you going to look down your nose at me? Air Corps, Eric in BC writes, and he says, come on, RP, stay on the wagon, roll Tide. We'll see how it goes. How about that? Week 1. I'm just more than anything into this Texas OSU game, and it didn't hurt when you got a friend coaching like Steve Sarkisian, the former Rough Rider from 1997 to 1999. Tomorrow, again, will be a huge CFL day. I was on Global Winnipeg today, and they talked about Labor Day memories, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, nobody ever would think about this, but my first 1999, first one I ever broadcast as voice of the Rough Riders. Not only did Curtis Mayfield set a record that day with 2 punt return touchdowns for the Rough Riders, but it was G. Roy Simon's first Labor Day Classic, and he was a Blue Bomber. So few people know that G. Roy Simon came into the Canadian Football League as a Blue Bomber. You know, as bad as those Bomber teams were back then, man, did they have some talent. Winnipeg is number 2 for viewership for this show. Anybody that would know, who was doing personnel for the Bombers back then? Like Dave Ritchie was the coach-ish, right? 2000, 2001, they went to the Grey Cup. They had some talent. Why the hell didn't they win? Well, we can get into it with Mike Abu-Meshrik tomorrow when he joins us, the 10-year CFLer. We're going to talk about it all when we come back with Mike Davis, my good friend and head coach, general manager of the Vegas Knighthawks, the reigning Indoor Football League champions. We'll be talking NFL, CFL, indoor, Vegas itself, a lot of things. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus Television coming September 29th to the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network, Fox 5 Las Vegas. Podcast and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Folks, welcome back. And by the way, rep the show you love. Rod Pedersen Show store is open. Get your RP merchandise, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, you name it. Go to rodpedersen.com, click on the RP store. Okay, there he is with much bravado, the reigning champion of the Indoor Football League, Mike Davis of the Vegas Knighthawks. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, Rod. How are you, buddy?
Good. What is happening in Las Vegas, Nevada today?
Currently, we're doing a commercial at Chapman Dodge, one of our sponsors, and then we have a deal at City Hall today at 3, and then a little fan fest this afternoon, and then guys will start trickling out of town this weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd say congratulations. This would be now the third time that I've said that to you. I'm sure it never gets old, Mike. Just tell the story of the IFL champion Vegas Knighthawks from start to finish with you, if you don't mind, because it is a hell. And for those that didn't say, Mike is from St. Louis, been in the CFL with what? Riders, Argos. He's a football guy, but you've been around, and it feels like you are at home in Vegas.
Yeah, obviously every team starts with ownership. And, I was fortunate enough to get a call when I was in the CFL. It was 5 years in Saskatchewan and 2 years in Toronto, and got a call about an opportunity in Vegas. And it was just too good to pass up, right? You be able to have the keys to the castle and have an ownership guy who owns the Vegas Golden Knights. And so you knew the infrastructure was there. And it's been a whirlwind. Last year, first 2 years was building. Last year, we won the last play of the game in the West Finals.
Oh, boy. Hit refresh, Mike. Oh, as I was just sitting here getting locked in for a great story. Mike, if you're listening, I'm going to have to text him. I'll tell him. Yeah, to hit refresh. Bear with me. I mean, I can sit here and tell you the story myself. I know what Mike's telling you. He got that call from Bill Foley himself. It was about a week-long negotiation. And he ended up running this football team and starting it from scratch. One thing that you people need to know, when it's 100-plus degrees Fahrenheit down there in the southern United States, iPhones don't work that great. So I'll sit here and tell as much of Mike's story as I can until he rejoins us here. 5 years with the Rough Riders, D-line coach and personnel guy. Married his beautiful wife, Renee, a nurse from Regina, and they ended up going to Toronto for 2 seasons. One of those they sat out, 2020, the COVID year. I'm just waiting for Mike to rejoin us here. I'm not sure if the heat got him or what exactly it was. But he got that call from Bill Foley, and they got that expansion team in the IFL. There he is. We got you, Mike. The last I heard was you said you lost in the East Final last year. Can you pick up from there?
Yeah, so we lost on the last play of the game last year in the East Finals, and had a group of guys that wanted to come back, and started off with 1-2, and then 2-4, and then I don't know what happened. Just the guys in the locker room just said, "Hey, we're way too talented to be 2-4." We went on a nice run and ended up getting the 4 seed, going to seed 36-31 defensive struggle, and then the West Finals was 74-68. We won in overtime, and then won 64-61 in the championship game. Neither defense had to stop until the last play of the game, and we turned goal from the 2-inch line and was able to stop a quarterback sneak.
Well, the last time when this came up yesterday or a couple of days ago, you might have to hit refresh again. The connection's kind of crappy down there in Las Vegas, but there you go. The last time we talked was early in the season, and you said that you were looking for a kicker. What did you say, producer Corey? Yeah, we got you. You were looking for a kicker. That's the last I talked to you. Can you pick up the story from then, Mike? Because you clearly found a guy.
Yeah, we were struggling in the kicking game. Obviously, there's a couple CFL teams that are struggling in the kicking game, and kickers are hard to find. And I had a guy reach out to me. There was an old kicker of mine that says, "Hey, I'm training a guy that's a soccer player, only been kicking footballs for about a year." I'm like, great leg. Let's just see what happens. He has his tough trials and tribulations, the tough stretches, let's just say, right? But the playoff was.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, we might have to end this early. We're getting through it, but it's not perfect. I mean, I talked to some kicker guys too, and to be honest, they all want to know what's it paying. And I think we need to know with the Indoor Football League, you're not going to be a millionaire. But I bet you the guy that answered that call for you is pretty happy he did, right? Can you speak about that part of IFL play?
Yeah, there's a lot of kickers in here, like quarterbacks make some decent money. We pay for housing and all their food and stuff like that. So there's a couple kickers that get they call it an ambassador deal, which is, you're not making a ton of money. It's $550 a week. But it's better than, some practice roster teams and things like that.
Yeah, it's practice roster wage in the CFL for sure. Plus, it's U.S. dollars. But there's a couple things that I'm fascinated with you before we get to CFL and NFL, if we can. And that is building a team in Las Vegas, because I've got hockey friends, I was telling you, that have run minor league teams there. And they said, you need to recruit a special type of player. Otherwise, they will get swallowed up in this town. I am guessing you figured that out pretty quickly.
Yeah, it starts with character, right? And whatever sport you're playing, for us, football has to mean something to you. And if you can come in here and focus and really focus on your craft, you can be successful anywhere. The benefit of Vegas is you can go get a beer at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. and there's something to do, and there's going to be people there. So there's a lot of temptations that you have to be able to stand back from.
Yeah, well, Glenn Gulletson was the guy. He's with the head coach of the Dallas Stars now, but he ran the Las Vegas Wranglers, and he goes, every night is Saturday night here. So if some guys can't handle that, they can't be on our team. And so with your president, your owner, Bill Foley, I'm interested to know this. You've said this guy doesn't play. He's serious. But people that work for him for years. He just clearly has a way that he likes to do things, and it's successful. What is that?
He always wants to keep good people. You know, you keep good, he'll always keep good people around. The more you can do, the better you're going to be. And he is a straight shooter. That's what I can appreciate about him. He wants to win. He's going to do things the right way. He understands the league is growing, kind of like it's the infant to toddler stage as far as, you know, the league has been around for 17 years. We're getting ready to sign a massive TV deal, and so things are going in the right direction.
Well, and so on top of that, this is I'm familiar with the league. Arlen Bruce IV was in it. Can you talk? And he's going to have a hearing, you may or may not know, with the CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston about reinstatement in the CFL. They were waiting for your season to conclude. Can you talk about Arlen Bruce IV and the things that he did in your league?
Played the Nats Wranglers and Valley, and his name came across my desk. With his stuff that was going, it was hard to take a chance on a kid who may or may not be ready for Vegas. And you know, he did some great things for Northern Arizona, and he was a weapon for them. Once he had to figure out the game and how to stay healthy and how to be a pro. And once he did that, I mean, the kid's got crazy good talent. Can return, has great hands, great with the ball in his hands, faster than people think he is. He's a lot. I mean, this is not a fair comparison, right? But you're going to see him, and he's going to be like a mix between a Dembski and a Dressler.
Wow. Okay. Well, for those that don't know, Arlen Bruce IV was banned from the NCAA for life for betting while at Iowa. But I like the fact that clearly the Indoor Football League was like, that was college, this is pro, we're going to let him play. And now we're waiting to see if the CFL will say the same thing. But it sounds to me like you're saying he can play in the CFL.
For sure. I mean, there's a handful of guys in this league that can play up there and not embarrass anybody, and he's one of them.
I love it. Well, I look forward to a good news story, a resolution to that story. Of the 3 CFL games this weekend on this massive Labor Day weekend, Mike, what do you think will be the best game?
Probably Edmonton, Calgary.
Why?
I just think Edmonton's trying to figure it out. Calgary's coming off a big win in Sask. It's always room for a letdown game. That game's always close because it means more for the Providence. You know, Sask, Winnipeg, either team could win by 15.
Yeah.
Right. Who shows up? Right. Like, you never know who shows up. And I just think Edmonton and Calgary is a dark horse that, with Cody playing, they have some weapons. You know, they have one of our guys, Justin Rankin, playing running back up there. If they feed him the ball, they've had great success.
He's that little number 9, right? Or 5? 5. Yeah, 5. Single digit guy. They can't stop this guy. He looks like a little pinball, to be honest, which I think is a little before your time. But you sent him up here?
Yeah, he played in the Indoor Football League with us, and I got him up in Edmonton last year.
What is he, unbelievably strong, or what's his deal? Nobody can tackle this little guy.
He's just he's a workaholic. You know, he lives in the weight room. He's got great lower body balance and strength, and he used it to his advantage.
A couple other things before I let you go. You're a Jones guy. You know, it's interesting how you guys have all dispersed and you're doing your thing all in different places, including him at UNC. Please tell me how you think this is going to play out with the Tar Heels this year.
God, I wish the best for him, but
I don't see it being a great season. You know, if they win 6 games, 7 games, it'll be the ball has bounced their way. I just think you got so many new faces, so many new schemes. They have talent, but you got to gel, and it's all going to be predicated on that quarterback. And it's not easy. They don't have an easy schedule either.
Well, Gino Lopez is their quarterback, right? Came over in the transfer portal. Like, how much do we know about him?
He's a left-handed kid from
Texas, isn't he?
It's not Sanford. No, I think it's the Sanford or somewhere like that. It's a smaller school, but
I'll look
great.
it up.
Or South Alabama. That's where he's from.
Okay. I thought it was a southern place. Yeah. Well, look, Mike, here's the thing why I enjoy my chats with you all the time, because you are a football guy's football guy. And I saw Belichick say the other day that he loves college because there's no owner and there's not 6 levels to get to the owner. He goes, when we started in New England, it was just me and Robert Kraft. And then I had to answer to all these people. And in college, I don't have to do that. The game has sure changed, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Like it's the wild, wild west right now. You have to be a special person to be in college, and you got to be a special person to be in the pros.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how's it affected your life and doing business in the IFL?
I mean, I have a direct line to Bill Foley, so it doesn't, like, they tell me that I have the keys to the castle, and I recruit who we want to recruit, and we put the wheels in motion. We put a game plan.
Oh, and we lost Mike entirely. Now you're back. Did you have a call?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb, but I guess I didn't.
It's all good. If you can, we got about 5 more minutes with you, and then we'll let you go. Why? Listen.
Take your time.
You've married a Canadian, so you know the mentality up here. You spend enough time in Canada. People are fascinated up here with Bill Foley. They just love what he represents and the fact that he manifested a Stanley Cup we'll win a Stanley Cup within 6 years, and then they do. I feel like with you, Mike, he's a guy that said he's like, what do you need to be successful, Mike? You got it. What do you need to be successful, Mike? You got it. Is that how he runs it?
Pretty much. It's like, hey, here's the amenities. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're willing to do, and put your game and make it happen. And that's, we were forced to follow the blueprint and make it work.
Well, like we say, it's a results-based business, and you've always been able to deliver the results. I'm sure. Could you just explain to me what you did on the phone this morning, how it feels to be tasked with doing something and then doing it? Must feel pretty good.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we do this business. I mean, everybody starts with a vision, and be able to put the vision and run the play and make it work is it's going to end up being very gratifying, and it's humbling for us.
Now you got a repeat. Has the R word been brought up in the office? It's been less than a week. But.
I mean, they're always like, what's it going to take to continue the success? And I mean, obviously, when you surround yourself with good people, it's a lot easier to do that. But again, the ball's got to bounce your way. Winning games in any level is hard. Winning championships is even harder. And we'll see how it goes.
Tell me a little bit about where you play.
So we play in a small little arena, and strip. It's about 8 miles from the Vegas Strip. It's called Lee's Family Forum. It's the same place their AHL Silver Knights play, and it's fantastic. It gets so crazy loud, and it's just a great experience.
What's it hold?
About 6,000.
Wow. Ken in Mississauga writes in, he says, some of the Vegas Knighthawks games have been broadcast where you will be. Fox 5, Silver Star Sports and Entertainment. Silver State Sports and Entertainment. Yeah, as you know, Mike, we're going to be airing on there beginning September 29th. Last question for you. then I'll let you go. A lot of our NFL pundits have said they expect the Vegas Raiders are going to be the surprise team. John Ryan was one of them. He expects 13 wins from his old coach, Pete Carroll. What's the talk down there about the black and silver?
I mean, they're long and athletic. There's a lot of, they don't set a ton, but the expectation is to be way better than they have been. I'm going to win 8 or 9 games year one and then kind of do there.
How much influence do you think Tom Brady, as much as you can say, how much influence do you think Tom Brady has on what's going on there?
More than they let on.
Yeah, well, if they're smart, they will. Yeah. Speaking of long and athletic, that's their owner, Tom Brady. Well, they've made a lot of right moves so far, and I like what they've done. Well, Mike, you're a busy guy. I'll let you go. Enjoy the parade or whatever it is you're doing there, the rally, and thanks for fitting some time in with us. And congrats again. Don't be a stranger.
Likewise. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate everything, as usual.
Thank you, my buddy. Mike Davis joining us from Las Vegas. He's the head coach and general manager of the Vegas Knighthawks of the Indoor Football League. And we got through it. That was a little stressful. That was a rough connection. Yeah, and what's funny about that is when we talk on the phone, his cell phone's the same. I'm like, can we get Mike Davis a new phone? Hey, Golden Knights, can we get Mike Davis a new phone? But here's the thing about Mike. What he said were pearls, right? We say, how much influence does Tom Brady have? More than they let on. Exactly. I feel like we have a lot of things that we can unpack when we come back, okay? And we will right after this. You're watching live on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. The RP Show brought to you in part by the Mad Greek. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery. Tonight, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in. Check out their menu at themadgreekeatery.com. If you like stories, the rest of this show will be for you. And some of you will have heard these stories, some of you will have not. But the Vegas thing, it's funny. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, I can see why people like Vegas, and I can see why people hate Vegas. I'm in between. You know, we all know 10 years sober guy here, right? Nobody liked Vegas more than me back in the day. Now it's just another town. And I'll get to what Mike said about Tom Brady in a second. But this is a story that I tell a lot. And a lady said to me the other day as we were sitting in the Moose Jaw Temple Gardens Mineral Spa pool, she was like, when are you going to write a book? And I said, well, I've already written 3. But maybe I should get around to it because I was telling her some stories. And I said, but I'm at halftime of my life. The game's not over, you know. But Super Bowl, which, oh my God, I was so upset. I went down to a Super Bowl 2 years ago in Las Vegas, and Mike and I were trying to hook up, and we never did. And I flew back to Miami all upset, pouting. I didn't get to see Mike. Well, it was Super Bowl. Like there was, and the guy runs a pro football team in that town. He might have been a little busy, Rod. But Jim Barker, who you know on this show every Friday, 5-time Grey Cup champion, CFL on TSN. He's like, oh, you're going to Vegas. You got to look up my daughter, Holly. She's a pit boss at the Bellagio. I'm like, I'll do that. Absolutely. Give me your number. Which I didn't need her number because flew in to Vegas, staying at the Hooters Hotel, $22 a night. A lot of you know that. Dropped my bags and immediately hoofer to the Bellagio. And I find Holly. She is in the pit, running the pit. She's the pit boss. And I'm like, hey, I know your dad, Jim. Did your dad tell you that I was coming to see you? And she's like, yeah. He asked me to set you up while you're in Vegas here for Super Bowl. What are you into? I said, well, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't gamble. And I don't carouse. What do you have for me? And she looked at me and said, what the hell are you doing here? So, well, I'm here for a football game. I said, do you have any tickets? And she's like, the cheapest ticket for the Super Bowl is $12,000, and they're long gone, and they're going to our clients. She's like, Jay-Z and Beyonce were just at this table playing blackjack 10 minutes ago. They got our last tickets. I'm like, okay, Holly, have a good week. I'm out. And then ended up at Vic and Anthony's Steakhouse on, what night was that, Bill Ollie? I think it was that same night. Bill Ollie is a farmer from Rollo and has a lot of Clydesdale horses. And him and his gal Mona, we went to my favorite steakhouse in Las Vegas, Vic and Anthony's. It's in the Golden Nugget. And I had my Super Bowl media pass on. Why? I don't know. But the server starts getting up me. He's like, oh, well, when you are covering the Super Bowl this week, you should be thanking the Vegas taxpayers because we're the ones that built that stadium. No private money went into that Allegiant Stadium. It was all the Vegas taxpayers. I'm like, bro, I'm here right now because of that football game on Sunday, the Super Bowl. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even be here paying your tab and tipping you. Sometimes you kind of know how conversations go with me sometimes. But why would you start a fight? Wayne writes in and says, I'm like you, Rod, when it comes to the heat. Vegas is too hot in the summertime. I don't know how the football players can play in that. No, I know. Plenty of liquids, and I think they get used to it. Rich in Edmonton says, isn't Rolo the town corner gas was filmed in? Yes. Yes. You spelled it wrong, but that's okay. I mean, that's... Who the hell was I talking to the other day? About my clients and my other business. And I said, I have a lot of Sioux Line boys as clients. That's all I'll say. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you'll never know. Drinkwater, Rolo, Wilcox, Milestone, Lang, Yellowgrass, McTaggart, Weyburn, Mydale, Hallbright, McCown. If you know, you know. If you don't, you'll never know. Overtime is coming up, and we will get to that sports update, but those are just some of my Vegas stories, and we never even got to Tom Brady. But again, would you not be picking Tom Brady's? No, I want to talk about that when we come back in overtime. Would you not be picking Tom Brady's brain if he was around as a resource? We'll be right back for overtime here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where they watch us every day, Randy and Michelle, when they're not busy, tending to the kids that infiltrate that place. But until limited time offer on right now, BOGO, buy one, get one on their monthly and yearly memberships. That's unlimited lane time in a place that I say is an amusement park for hockey players. Now's the time you should be working on your shot. The tryouts are coming up, everybody. Head on down to Overtime Hockey Lanes and perfect your shot and have some fun while you're at it. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Tell them the RP Show sent you. Before I get to the text on the Western Dodge text line, it just I know Rich from Edmonton's watching. He's a huge Raiders fan, so he knows as well as anybody that the Raiders aren't necessarily known for doing the smartest things as an ownership group, especially since Al Davis passed. And when we go on Las Vegas television, I'll stop talking about that. But a major step in the right direction is bringing Tom Brady into the ownership group. And then, as Mike Davis just said, I'm actually surprised he admitted it because Mike is so politically correct with everything that he says. That's why he's been so successful. But doesn't have a daytime sports talk show because you can't be. He said it. I said, how much influence do you think Tom Brady has with the Raiders? He says, more than they let on. And that would be smart. It reminds me of the Flames. Past management, okay? Just so you people in Calgary and Flames fans don't get upset at me. But Kelly Rudy's a really good friend of mine. And we were sitting around one day, chewing the fat. And I said, Roots, how often do the Flames talk to you about goaltending issues? And if you know Kelly at all, and you don't really, if you've watched him on TV, he kind of looked at me, they don't. Okay. And what's been the Flames' biggest issue for a long time? Goaltending. And I'm just saying, you got one of the greatest all time sitting there. Why wouldn't you pick his brain? But again, past regime, it's not the current guys. And it's like, well, we have goalie coaches for that. Okay, fine. It's just when I'm around, I will always bring up the Florida Panthers as the example of this because they have three advisors to GM Bill Zito. One's Roberto Luongo, but another is Les Jackson, who was my dad's longtime boss for the Dallas Stars. And I say to Les, I see him at the rink quite a bit or in Tampa if we happen to go on a road trip. And I'm like, what do you do, Les? He goes, I'm just around. No, but what do you do? I'm just around. If they need me, they pick my brain. It's the best job I ever had. And they pay him to just be around. It's for the coaches to bounce a question off him. The players, if they have an issue. Les was with the Dallas Stars for many, many, many years. And I just don't understand why you wouldn't use that. Whatever tool you have available, why wouldn't you do that? It reminds me of 1999. We've been talking a lot about when I was the voice of the Riders for the first time. Look, I never grew up playing football. I was a football fan. I didn't know anything about it. So when I started in 99, I brought John Frenzy in. He'd been thrown to the scrap heap 10 years before that. John Lynch. I'm like, Frenzy, would you come on the radio with me? Because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'd be glad to. Spawned a 20-year wonderful relationship between the two of us. Why wouldn't I? I'm not afraid that he's going to make me look dumb. I was dumb. I don't get it. It allowed me the chance to learn. On the text line and the poll question is, will Connor McDavid be an Oiler past this season? Greg in Calgary writes in, he says, hey, Rod, I'll say yes, but a shorter term, like Austin Matthews did with Toronto. Daryl in Calgary writes in, he says, hey, Rod, it's a tragedy that Tommy John is not in the Hall of Fame. We were talking about it earlier in case you missed out. I'll tell you why. He says, not even counting the surgery part. He pitched in MLB 26 years, 288 wins, 4,710 innings, 46 shutouts, 2,245 strikeouts, and a 3.34 ERA. What more does he need? Signed Daryl Slade, who is the Calgary Stampeders historian. But here's the thing. Tommy, and we've been together multiple times, kind of lost touch over the years, but it was Tommy John who told me that he had the most wins of any player not in the Hall of Fame. And just the way the Hall of Fames work now, it's not surprising me. Basically, Tommy might have pissed somebody off somewhere along the line. I remember we were in Nashville in December, we had a tour of the Country Music Hall of Fame. And we're looking around. It's like everybody. The Desert Rose Band is in the Country Music Hall of Fame, which I like them, but Dwight Yoakam. But Clint Black was not in the Hall. He's not in the Hall of Fame. My number 2 favorite all-time country singer, Serena, says, is he the Theron Fleury of the Country Music Hall of Fame? Hall of Fames have that. It's inexplicable. Kelly in the Queen City writes in, he says, old Eddie Lowe was an Alabama alumni, but chose Oklahoma. He asked me why I picked them. He goes, I chose Oklahoma as a fan. He says, the Minot Walmart only had Michigan and Oklahoma hats left. Oh, well. Sooners and Schooners were my choices. It's funny how those types of things affect your fandom, don't they? And it's a fun discussion that we clearly don't have time for today. We have like a minute left, but why are you a fan of who you were? You all by now have heard my story that I just never followed the NFL until I went to college. And all my friends in college in the big old city were watching NFL. So I started watching it in 1990. And I'm like, oh, this Troy Aikman's pretty cool with the Cowboys. Started out great. Decades of heartache since. Ron in Calgary says Vegas is struggling. No money. No new stadiums. Time will tell. What do you mean? The hockey rink's brand new. The football stadium's brand new. The baseball stadium's just being built. Yeah, they're fine, Ron. That's a narrative that they're putting out there for whatever reason. Vegas is fine. Hope you enjoyed the show today, everybody. We will see you tomorrow with a big Football Friday. Mike Abu-Meshrik will be with us to preview the LDC. And, of course, Jim Barker. Everybody loves that. See you then, everybody.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?